So,
Okay, how late is late?
well, I give you a grace period up to the 4th. Sometimes it's like the 10th.
Sometimes it was like the 10th.
Yes.
So we're not talking about months late.
No, she
Okay,
never,
and-
she always paid.
When you took her to court to evict her for non-payment of rent, she came up with the money.
Yes.
Yeah, we're August 5th now. Did you pay your rent?
Not yet. Honestly,
Good afternoon, my true schools aficionados. I hope that you all are doing well out there. Taking care of each other, watching out, keeping happy, keeping safe, ready to say something if you see something. And I do want to give a shout out to Amanda, one of my followers, Amanda Hunt. That she pointed out a missing person to me in the local Colorado area. I'm gonna give you an update on that a little later here. I do want to start out with just a couple of hits on things that I've been monitoring lately. Maybe not get into too fully because it's pretty easy to do a short synopsis on these. So I'm gonna hit up on about 2 or 3 things right now. The first thing that I wanted to hit on was a crime that had been taking place over a long period of time. It took place in New Jersey, and it was finally broken open by a grand jury that indicted 14 correctional officers back in 2021. It was the women's only correctional facility in the state of New Jersey. And apparently there was quite a situation of anybody in that environment knowing that things were going wrong, that things were being abused, that things were happening that shouldn't be happening in a women's prison. And it was pretty much common knowledge, but nobody ever did anything about it. Probably thinking that these women had come from bad backgrounds, maybe, using drugs or obviously committing crime, or they wouldn't be there. So they thought it was okay to treat them in the fashion that they did. And luckily, the truth came forward. The tide turned, as they say, and these 14 officers were then held accountable. And you know what they say about officers in jail? They probably protect them. Anyway, the grand jury handed up indictments after a more than a year-long investigation into the events at the Edna Mahan Correctional Facility for Women in the community of Clinton. Acting Attorney General Matt Franken's office said late Tuesday. The charges include conspiracy, official misconduct, tampering with public records, and aggravated assault. The indictments are the latest development in a state criminal probe that resulted in a significant fallout, including the departure of the state's correction commissioner, Governor Phil Murphy's declaration that he will close the prison was then in effect. A picture of what happened in January of 2021 at the prison has emerged based on accounts from law enforcement, videos released by authorities showing extractions of prisoners from their cells. A report commissioned by the governor. One video clip, for example, showed 5 prison guards wearing helmets and chest, back, and shoulder armor filing into the cell of a woman at the prison and striking and punching the inmate in the head. "Stop punching me in my face," the woman calls out. Guards use excessive force on inmates and file false reports after removing inmates from their cells. And a lot of these people were, women of lower poverty, like poverty-ridden, because, crime is more in poverty-ridden areas. People in corners result to doing things that they don't want to. A depressed state of mind over a long period of time may cause you to try to do self-medication as well. So there you go. You got drugs, and then eventually they're doing things for the drugs, and that leads even to more illicit crime in your neighborhood. And I know people don't want that. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying that prison might not be the answer because it doesn't appear to have worked in the numerous times that it's been in place. And there's another thing about that, you know, the falsifying of records. When you are a person in a certain culture and you look a certain way, and you're out there on the streets, if the cops are looking at you, they're gonna intimidate you. They're gonna make you react. They're gonna want you to be afraid of them because it's all about exerting powers for certain enforcement officials. So they'll automatically start yelling, you know, stop resisting, stop resisting. I've seen it in the videos myself, you know, that Tyler one, there's something like that going on there too. Because the people are scared, you can see it, but yet they just keep coming on and bulldozing these people down to the ground. So who do they work for? Do they work for us or do we work for them? Or what kind of a society are we living in when the people who are supposed to protect us are the very ones that are annihilating us? So this woman, the staff also failed to bar male guards from viewing female inmates during strip searches. Did you hear me? They didn't stop the men from looking at the women when they were getting strip searched. And then you wonder, what kind of violation of your civil rights is that? And nobody said anything about it. It was perfectly okay, because remember, these women are not worth it. So there was nothing like that going on. It also shed light on what led up to the retaliation. I'm sure that it was probably a little bit back and forth, because as a group, you have to act if you have to have some sanity. I'm not saying that their actions were approved or sanctioned, but I guess they were, what do you call it, you know, they were splashing prison guards, and I guess that was one way to get them even, or to start upset also at the same time, because who's in charge? Not the prisoners. So why they would do that, I don't know, but splashing includes throwing of liquids, including bodily functions as well. And the report notes that the head of the prison guards labor union and other officers had been upset that things were at a boiling point. The U.S. Department of Justice also entered into a consent agreement with the state stemming from long-standing troubles at the prison, namely that officials there did not protect inmates' constitutional rights by failing to protect them from sexual abuse. The August agreement resulted in a federal monitor at the prison. Okay, fine. So eventually, Rutgers law got into it, and a lot of these colleges do step in and stand up for the indigent people that are looking for justice that ain't gonna get it because they don't have the money to support what they're trying to do. And, you know, like that, people who are sentenced to life in prison wrongly and then try to get their cases cleared, the courts can't hear them, that type of thing going on here. So Rutgers got involved in it, and they played a crucial role in the $20.8 million settlement, providing compensation to women who recently served time at the Edna Mayhem Correctional Facility for women. I don't know what happened to the women in the past. I guess you can only go back so far, but it is a certain amount of correction. Where a systemic culture of abuse had been well documented, students worked with claimants who served time in New Jersey's only women's state prison. The facility was a subject of a scathing federal report published in 2020, which found sexual abuse of inmates to be an open secret among staff and current and incurrent people. So it was just an open situation where people knew what was going on and let it go on. I guess, you know, like when Indigenous women are missing, or women in general are missing, people don't seem to care or put as much fact into it as maybe it should be. When we're the ones who bear children and nurture society, that's the price you get to pay for it. The women did have to step up and give affidavit. It was extremely emotional to them, and they had to relive a lot of their trauma that they went through, but in the end, it turned out to be worth it. And I hope moving forward that these women's movements are coming forward. This Me Too continues to carry on and spreads out into different things, that the world starts to address the crime of femicide, because it really exists. And I know in Mexico, they say that they address femicide, it starts out that way, and then it turns out to a murder crime or whatever later. It is, murder is murder, but there's a certain aspect of it when women become involved in it, that murder is not murder anymore. It's driven at a specific, person, it's driven at a specific gender. And, there's so many cases that you can bring up that, involve that. Quilla Robinson, Gabby Petito, that lady who was missing here, and Mayhew. And we have so many women here that have turned up missing. I mean, we can't even talk about, Frederick, Colorado, and everything that happened out there with the Watts family. So anyway, that's one update that I wanted to give you. I'll see you back again.